Here, look at that.
Your noises, bro. Mm. 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 Hey everybody, how you guys doing out there? You guys doing good? Welcome back to the show. This is not season 1 episode 16 as the damn title card said wrong. I forgot to edit that. I'm sorry. This is season 2 episode 1 officially. So, either way, it's me and Jonathan back at it again. We got some good stuff to bring to you guys. John, how you been doing this week?
I have been doing pretty okay, as we've talked about before. Honestly, it could be better, but it's definitely been an
I'm
interesting
sorry.
week to say the
This is
least, especially
season
with one of our
2
topics that we're going to be talking
episode
about today.
1 officially. Well,
And then,
that's okay though, because life happens. I was just checking to make sure that we got sound and audio on the stream. So far, it seems like we do. Is anybody out there? Hey, what's up, D Dubs? Don, how you doing? Is anybody out there confirming audio besides what I've seen on my own stream here that I've seen?
right,
Uh,
I checked on my end and I'm hearing it, but let's see if they
cool,
can. If you guys don't mind just dropping something in the chat, letting us know, it'd be
cool.
great.
Yeah, but no, life gets in the way sometimes. It happens, like work for me's been a little different as of late because we got some stuff going down, which is going to be um a little tight in the thanks brother. Don responded 5 out of 5.
Yeah,
So
thank you
anyhow,
so much.
no, it's going to be a little tight because we're looking at a potential strike. I'm at a union job, and so I'm looking at a potential strike. So my full-time day job funds might be a little scarce. So
I completely understand. We're actually having something a little bit different, but to some degree in kind of the same ballpark, kind of. Our owner of the building is looking at selling our building. So,
cool.
like, none of us are going to lose jobs or anything. Like, we're just potentially going to have a different boss of our boss now.
Hmm.
So, that's going to be pretty interesting to say the least. And definitely there will be some changes. We might be changing brands. So, that could be something. We're not
They
really.
has he let on as to who's possibly buying or interested in buying it? Is it going to be like a
Um,
major, like a Best Western or anything like that?
So we don't know that yet. We have not been informed on anything along those lines, but it
Mm-hmm.
can happen. So I wouldn't be that surprised if it changed because our building was actually originally supposed to be a Comfort Inn, but then
Mm-hmm.
some stuff happened which turned it into a Holiday Inn. Long story short, um, but yeah, I'm just kind of just keeping an eye out, seeing what's going on, and I know for sure it's a little bit keeping me on edge to say the least because I mean it's just
Yeah,
a
that's
transition, you know.
scary. That's scary. That could be scary. I mean, it really can be. Not knowing what the potential future could be, but what's the job market like over there for you? If this one, for some reason, because it's happened before, where people took over a place and all of a sudden they bring their own staff in, even though they said they weren't bringing their own staff in or doing any of those things. They still do things like that.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to keep looking out and making sure the job market stays as open as it has been. Because if, let's say, our pay wages change or anything, and
Mm-hmm.
they go down or whatnot, yeah, I will probably leave and get a different job at that point. I'm not going to get paid any less than what I already do. So we've had this discussion. I'm not going into it right now. Um,
No, that is okay. That is okay. I mean, it's just I just hope that your job market is aplenty where there's many other jobs opening
there
jobs
are.
over there that you can go to. So it could be a pretty lateral move, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. There with as many jobs as there are, because the reality is, at least in my area, not a ton of people want to work,
Hmm.
which is that's a whole different thing. But that leaves so many different opportunities available for those of us who do.
Nice,
And with what I make, honestly, going other places might be worth it because I'll
mhm.
probably end up getting a pay raise. So I will keep it
Nice,
at that. Yeah,
nice. That's
by
good.
doing that.
That's also it's
So
also a plus. So hey,
yeah.
what have you Darren's asking in the chat, where do you live at, Jonathan?
Oh, I don't mind saying this. You guys, I'm not gonna say specific the town, but I'll tell you the
Right.
state. I live in Oklahoma, and we all know what type of state this is. So yeah.
What are you trying to say? Are you saying it's a red state?
I'm not gonna go into the political side of this. I'm just gonna say it's very, very different. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I would rather not put my public opinions on those things out on
Yeah,
the
it's fine.
internet. That's
No,
probably
that's
not
fine.
the
That's okay. I
right thing to
mean,
do.
there's so honestly, I'll get out there and I will say this: when it comes to politics, I'm going to tell you the two-party system, both sides are shit. Because a
I
politician is a politician. Period. It doesn't matter if they're blue or they're red. They're in it for themselves. They have long forgotten that they work for us. You know what I'm saying? They seem to think that it's the other way around, and unfortunately, they're taking control of enough things government wise that they make it that way for themselves. They've abused their power, the whole lot of them. That's how I
I
feel.
think I think you've made this a lot more comfortable for me to talk about then. I was more concerned we might have been on the opposite side of the fence on this, Alex. Um, I looks like we're pretty much in the same space,
Well, it's
thinking
the
the same
truth. I mean,
things.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it's the truth. You got so many people that lean red and so many people that lean right, and they're extremists no matter how you look at it. I'm not trying
Yeah,
to be mean. I'm
exactly.
not trying to get myself canceled. I'm just being factual. There's no more politics, and politicians used to know how to meet in the middle. It's called compromise. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
It's such a, it's such a big concept apparently. It's
You
like
know?
they just don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And so
these
so
days.
so the reality of it is, I mean, the reality of it is we've lost our identity as a political structure and a political governed country. And
I,
it's really apathetic as to it's really not apathetic. It's really
pathetic.
pathetic as what's going on
Yeah.
because in the end, everybody says your vote counts. But when they rig elections, either side, your vote doesn't count. You know what I
You
mean?
know, right. I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of the people in Europe will kind of make fun of our political system
Mm-hmm.
here because it doesn't work, right? Like they can claim it works all they want, but it just ends up being a marketing thing these days, to
Exactly.
be honest.
Exactly. I mean,
Um,
it just doesn't work. And if you do any of these other third party like libertarian and all these other third parties, all you're doing is taking away votes from the ones that really matter. The two parties that actually count. So I mean, it's just
you know,
it's a I'm I am not happy with our political structure in our country. I am not happy with either of the two choices that you have. They both have garbage people that they put up there. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. It's usually picking the least bad candidate.
yeah,
Is the
and
right way of putting it.
it's horrible.
Um, yeah, it's terrible, but I'm reading here with what Donald was saying. He's
Hmm.
saying not to make it too political, but what it takes to get there requires so much money that you have to own many people to get there, and that's absolutely true. I mean,
Absolutely
really,
right.
if you don't have a bunch of money, you're not going to win. I mean, that's just the reality of this.
And you know what's funny
Uh,
is you can actually. I know this isn't a Linux. This is a Linux podcast, not a political podcast,
right,
and I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing: that whole role model, that whole system of things, actually affects the way we do everything in the United States because right down to our divisiveness that we're experiencing in Linux.
right. I mean, because if you think about it, right, a lot of political figures typically are business owners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the businesses that own a lot of these essentially own the projects, right? Because they
Mm-hmm.
own the companies that do most of the work for them.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you can give IBM as examples. You can have Intel as examples,
Mm-hmm.
AMD, so on and so forth, right?
Correct.
Each of these have some type of politician connected to them in some way.
Exactly. Not
Um,
one, but many, because there's a lot of money
right.
there. And that goes hand in hand with what Don was saying. So it can affect the Linux world a lot. Like one of the things that's being affected and politicized right now is the whole AI stuff going on right now. Now, what's really funny is I got on the bad side of of a certain person over AI. That person whose name I shall not mention. But anyhow, we had a bit of a war. Caused him to be discovered for other crap. But it was what really led into it. And this guy was like a total conspiracy theorist kind of cat on the AI thing. And really, it really bugged me because in the inception of AI, uh, and this is tying into the main topic. Okay? In the inception of AI, a lot of people grew afraid of it, and they grew. They grew afraid of what it could potentially do. But here's the fact. Yes, it can become Skynet down the road, right?
Actually, no, it can't, and here is why. I actually listened to a podcast and somebody explained it this
Hmm.
morning, and I'll tell you why. What you're seeing, so you know how people understand it as almost like it's being intelligent, like it has its own type of mind. The
Hmm.
reality is it doesn't actually have its own mind. What it's doing is it's trying to come up with what it thinks you want to hear, basically, is what it's doing.
Right,
And that versus an actual thought are completely different things, even though they sound the same and they look the same.
right.
It's
Hold on.
right.
I get what you're saying, and I get that right now. At this moment, you're absolutely correct. It has no capability of doing that. It has none. However, that's not to say that it doesn't get smarter. You understand? Right now, it's dumb. Just like, think about this. Text to speech 5 years ago was garbage. You couldn't say, "Hey Siri, find me this or that or whatever," right? Sorry if I just made your Siri phones go off, but you couldn't get it to do it would pull up the wrong crap. Now, over time, it's been improved upon, has been coded better, has learned, has done some stuff. Now it's actually pretty damn accurate and pretty good.
That depends for sure on
I
which
understand
model
it,
you're based on, but yes,
but
it's better
yes,
than what it
it's
was.
evolved, and that's what I'm talking
Yes.
about, the evolution of eventually becoming possibly Skynet. I'm not saying it's going to be or it's not going to be. I don't care. I'm not going to be alive for that. Honest to God, I probably don't. Well, I'm
Oh,
scared.
wow.
I might be because you know what? I said the same thing about Wayland coming along. You know what I'm saying? And Hyperlink coming along, and look where it's at right now. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is it's not something that we're going to experience readily soon. But this person was making it seem that way, right? But that created
Right.
a whole thing of AI and the fear of AI to the point that people either embraced it or they got rid of it, right?
Right, yeah,
Dismissed it
for sure.
completely. Well,
I would also have to point out real quick what we call AI, right? Because I want to clarify for what we're mentioning. We're talking about things that are based on LLMs or anything along those lines, right?
LLVMs,
We're
yeah,
not
large language
yeah,
model models.
yeah, we're not talking about what they're marketing as AI, which is just a bunch of algorithms for in some cases.
Right,
Right. Right. I just want to clarify that for the guys in the chat or gals in the chat because there's a lot of misuse of the word AI out there.
right. So anyhow, but it's created people to delve into the world of either adopting AI or not adopting AI. And so really right now there's a distribution out there that has taken AI and embedded it and done very beautifully with it. Honest to God, played with it. I've done things with it. I've created it. He created a thing where it creates a story for you that is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's just he's done so much with this AI. Including he created his own server so it's separate from anything else.
Mhm.
Um, Don says for sure AI is a
It
huge,
is a huge
wide-ranging topic. It absolutely is.
yeah,
And
for
so he's
sure.
done a lot with this distribution, and he's made it secure. He's focused on the security of the AI, keeping it safe from other people, and actually he's offered other developers to be able to use his AI
Mhm.
and embed it into their. What's up, Waffles? How you doing?
Yeah, it's good to see you, man.
Linux is dead. Pack it up. Love Waffles.
Ah, nah, nah. We all know Linux isn't gonna be dead. Yeah, because like
so
they need
so so
yeah.
anyhow, he's taken and made this AI available to other developers. In fact, he posted it in our Discord. He used to be in our Discord till a certain thing happened. What's really funny is he went out of his way to make sure all this other security was there, but he had one major security flaw. And even you misunderstood the flaw until
I
it
did
was clarified. No, this is a real security flaw.
because what I understood it as versus what it was were different things. And when I was told exactly what it was, I actually believe somebody in our chat corrected me
That's right.
whenever they did
D
that.
Dubs.
I,
He
yeah,
he
D
actually found
Dubs.
it based on that. He actually found the distro. He's never heard of it and tested it in a VM based off of the install that I tried to do. Where the guy sent me the one that was actually it looked like Linux, and I'm like, why? I mean, like Windows. Why would you
Oh
send me
yeah.
a Linux YouTube podcaster and YouTube content creator a distribution that looks like Windows.
Windows, right?
You know, I was
Like
like, I was like,
we're talking like like the entire function, like the full functionality of it was a Windows ripoff. I have to say it that way. I'm sorry.
yes. And in that one, let me go ahead and pull up the actual web page so that people can see it. Um,
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I'm just a little bit disappointed with the direction there because,
mhm,
right, if you're going to Linux users, you're not really going to be trying to sell them Windows, right? Or Windows, whatever we want to call it, right?
right.
Because where we jumped over to Linux for a reason, even
Right,
though
and
I'm,
it
yeah,
is none other than Makulu Linux. It's
yes,
coming up on screen for you here pretty shortly. It's none other than Makulu Linux, and it's not a security decision. It's more of a flaw. And what he
hmm
did is so basic. No other Linux distribution ever does this. In fact,
you
in
can't.
the installer, it goes out of its way to set it up. And this man completely ignores it for what reason, I have no idea. It is insanely crazy to me that he would avoid setting a setting up a sudo user and therefore making the sudo user actually root user.
Here's my big thing with that, right? I am mainly concerned about the people that don't know what they're doing when they jump in, right? Because
Right.
you could I really want to go in and check at some point and see if he has configured by default to keep like scripts executable if you double click.
I don't know, but here's the thing: by him, well, so I would think so, just by default, simply because I mean, if he took the time, well, yeah, yeah, he did make that. He had to have made it that way because in a conversation that he and I and D Dubs had on our Discord over it when we first brought it to this man's attention, and he absolutely refused to listen to our argument on doing it. One of his claims was that a lot of his scripts that he runs for his embedded AI in the background need to have root permission. What's up, Mislav? Welcome to the
It's
dang
good to see
chat,
you
brother. It's
here.
good to see you, brother. Anyhow, I mean, he included it in this that they don't have root permit. He needs them to be able to run, so he doesn't have it would screw up a lot of his scripts that make Makulu Linux work.
Right, and I understand that, but that is exactly what giving different groups is for, right? Because if
Exactly,
you like, that's
exactly.
100% why that exists. That's
Exactly. And so I don't understand. I don't understand why he didn't. I mean, he's a legit developer. I mean, he coded this whole this whole freaking AI server that he's done, all the AI stuff he's done. He's literally coded all that. So it's not like he doesn't know how to code, and he's just some script jockey who's copying and pasting people's scripts or paying people to make scripts for him. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like that.
right.
So
'Cause what he should have done, in my personal opinion, this is a solution, and if he's listening, I hope he takes
mhm.
this to heart, is go ahead and make a new group and attach it to that, and give that group a lot of the permissions that you're wanting, and just have it run through that rather
But
than
here's
just use root.
you know, I tried talking to him about that. I've tried all kinds of stuff, and he pretty much like what's up, Rue? How you doing, brother?
Yeah, it's good
He
to see
pretty
you.
much so Don and I were both talking to him, and we are just like, you know, why not, you know, secure it and this, that, and other, and do that. And he basically wanted to hear nothing about it, absolutely nothing
I
at all.
There's unfortunately just some people out there that are like that, and nothing we can do about it. But I know I hate to be this guy, but I know I probably can't recommend it to people
No,
personally until
and
it
that's
gets
me too.
fixed.
You know, in fact, you know, I this is kind of a thing where I have recommended it in the past, and I did not do my due diligence in that aspect, and that is now something that I'm adding into all of my sudo, or you know, make sure that sudo's there and all my reviews when I do that. If I find if it's there, I'll do the review as usual. But if it's not there, I'm certainly going to make a warning. And that was the other thing. At the end, we even said to this man, we even said to him, which is Raymer Jacques, we even said to him, it says, why not make documentation? It's your choice how you want to make your distro.
Right.
Not trying to tell you how to build your distro, but why not make a bold documentation somewhere, even in the setup, say, hey, sudo has been turned off. It's, it's not there. All permissions have been given to even to sudo. There, everybody's a super user whenever you log in.
I honestly think
Why not at least say that instead of leaving it up to people to discover?
I would take it a whole other step and go with, why not just have a pop-up for the very first boot where it says this is our default settings that we
Perfect.
have this for it, right? If you want to change it, click this button and have it where it'll go in and restore it to what normal your average user would use. Which it may break things, but he could have a little disclaimer there saying this may break things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's also a suitable alternative, but not telling anybody anything.
You
That's
know,
not. That's not. That's not good. You know what I mean? That's just not good. I mean,
that
there's so much he could have done with this that really is kind of why I'm talking about it today, because I really feel bad. I mean, for the guy. I mean, he's done, like Don said in the chat a little bit ago. He has done a very great job of doing it. I mean,
you know
what he did was absolutely beautiful. The AI flawless. I mean, literally perfect.
what I'm
I mean,
afraid of. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the story that because he created this new AI that'll help you create an actual story. And in this story, I literally was Captain Alex of the Starship Enterprise with the full, and it got all the full cast right. Literally from LaForge to Dr. Crusher to all of them. You know what I'm saying? Got them all right. You know, uh,
Right.
I mean, in this thing where I saved a droid, uh, 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 a species that was battling droids that was inhabiting their planet, who had wrong code into that made them from being a helping droid to an actual malicious droid that wanted to kill people. And then the droid had new technology on how to better prepare a fuel source for my ship that actually made me, and they installed this replicator on my thing, and that made lifetime supply of this fuel source. And then I was able to go to another planet and discover a plague that was killing them. And then there was a ship that was battling me to get to the planet that actually had the freaking the vaccine to the freaking plague on board their ship, because they're the ones that presented the damn vaccine on the planet. I mean, the plague on the planet. They didn't realize it, and they developed.
Right.
I mean, this was a cool ass AI that made this whole convoluted story.
It makes me almost wonder if just throwing things, trying to see if it'll stick to the wall when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
What if he were just to drop that project, not the AI, but the distribution portion for this, and then just focus on the AI? Because it sounds like that's what they're doing the best on, based on what we're talking about.
Legit, and that is a possibility, but God only knows what he's, like I said, he's his own man, he's his own mindset, he's his own everything. And I'm telling you, as a developer, this gentleman is bar none one of the hardest working developers ever. I have seen this man to the point, talk to this man to the point of actually seeing him, because we did video call too, to the point of no exhaustion. I mean, where this guy is like literally so exhausted from all the marathon things of coding that he's done for this. It's his baby, and I understand why he was a little upset with us kind of knocking it, and I get it, but also you gotta understand, that if it's your baby, also your baby isn't always perfect. You know what I'm saying? Your baby's,
Right.
when it grows, it does things. You got to be able to take criticism of your children, I guess. So I mean, I get
You
it,
know,
and I feel bad because I wasn't trying to hurt the man. The man is I've spoken with him. He's a bona fide genius. I mean, he really is. But
I mean,
he just doesn't, listen to reason sometimes.
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I'm reading here what Donald said. He said, "I agree, or keep your distro and package it for other distros." Also, that's
Hmm.
kind of what they already are doing, from what it looks like.
Hmm.
To be honest, I
Mizlov
just wanted to
says, I
clarify
am the
that.
only one who has found the distro that does everything I want. Then every so often change for something else, then keep going back to the same distro I've left many times.
You
You're
are
not the
not
only
the only
one.
one.
You're not the only one, Mizlov. We've all done that. For me, it
Yep.
used to be Arco, but I gotta say that's been replaced. It
For
really
me, it,
has.
for me, it used to be Arch, and then now it's OpenSUSE and the and Fedora. It's a combination of the two because they both are RPM based.
Mhm. Well, for
Yeah,
my replacement, Mislav, just curious, what is yours that you keep going back to? For me, the new one that I'm just going back to, I haven't had issues with it. Everything's going well with it. It's fantastic. Is Nix OS. I am on Nix OS with Hyperlin and Wayland. I know people tell me it's not a real distribution, but I tell you what, man, the stability's bar none so far.
you know, I support your decisions. You know this. It's not my
Mm-hmm.
thing. We've talked about this.
Mislav is Arco KDE.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone's on the Arch train these days. I
Well,
just don't
because
get it anymore.
I will tell you why. I will tell you why. Because Arch was made elite for a while there, and
Hmm.
then Arch got made easy to install by all the forks.
Okay. I agree. Yeah.
And so that's
But
why it's so easy for people to get into Arch, and that's why everybody likes Arch.
I think I have a unique perspective, and you too, because we were around for sure whenever Arch
Mm-hmm.
was known as the actual elite distribution. None of this Arch install nonsense existed. You didn't really have these things like Arco so much yet,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these different variants that are forked off.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, you actually had to sit down and read the guide
Yeah,
and
and
figure it
build
out,
Arch. Yeah.
right? Yeah,
So
and
Don
the
D Dub said, "Real distro. It's been around for decades." Talking about Nix OS. I only say real distro because Matt over at the Linux Cast doesn't call it a real distro, and the only reason why he doesn't call it a real distro and why some people would say it's not a real distro is because it's an out of the way different way of managing packages. It's a declarative OS. You literally, if you have a problem with Nix OS, it's not because of Nix OS. It's because you fucked up. Period. Point blank. No matter what. From
right.
the desktop environment to whatever package you wanted to install to the way you wanted it to present that package. Period.
Miss Love, I'm on the same boat as you, but because I've told Alex multiple times that I just think people who want to use NixOS should just use Gentoo and get over it.
You want to know why Nix is better than Gentoo?
Nah, no thanks. But go ahead.
Hang on, I'm compiling my answer.
You know, fight me, fight me.
That's why.
Here's the thing though. You can optimize your compilation stuff on Gentoo, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking with Jake the other day. Shout out, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. We were actually configuring Clang so I could build some stuff and optimizing that specifically for this workspace
Mm-hmm.
and or what was Fedora at the time.
Right.
We've had this conversation. Guys, long story short, don't put Linux on a MacBook from 2018. Just don't. It's
I think the only person that enjoys that kind of masochistic stuff is Gentoo or is Danny over in our Discord, Hammerheart. Blood Eagle, that's what he loves to do. But although I've noticed that mainly all his installs now have gone from MacBooks to actually ThinkPads now.
right. I've noticed that too. I think he ran into the same wall I did, and then finally just kind of gave in and was like, "This isn't worth it."
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna be I'm probably gonna get shamed here in just a second for saying this, but guys, we are talking right now, and I have Windows on this MacBook because of how annoying it was trying to get Linux to work.
I was hoping you weren't going
Alex
to admit that.
and I,
Oh my god.
no,
Yeah.
I will explain every little detail and how much I went out of my way to avoid trying to put Windows on this thing. I seriously spent, what was it, a year and a half trying to get Linux to work properly on this. I can get 90% of it. Suspend doesn't work at all. Yeah, want to have your GPU acceleration, you're very funny. It doesn't work. I mean, audio on it never worked worth squat,
This is your beloved
no matter what
OpenSUSE.
I did. No, this was no matter what Linux distribution I put on this.
Mm-hmm.
It was. OpenSUSE was actually a worse experience than anything else because it doesn't have any kind of support for any of this, ironically. So there's that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but shame me later. We'll get over it. I just thought I would admit
Yeah,
it,
this is
and
a temporary fix because you're still waiting on
yeah,
your production machine's power
yeah,
supply. So let's clarify. He's
yeah,
not
stupid thing.
he is not tratoriously abandoned us. He's just
Yeah, no.
momentarily running an immediate fix to be able to make this podcast. That's true dedication. What's up, CC? How you doing? Thanks. Welcome to the chat, brother. Suspend on most hardware using Linux is always a roll of the dice. He's absolutely correct. Like
It
on
is.
Nix right
It
now,
is.
I you know, I don't have suspend, but I've got lock. I went in and changed it in the idle, the sway lock configuration. I went and changed everything, and it still freaking like like blanks my screens out immediately. I sometimes I don't know why, and it's never the same amount of time, so I don't know what's going on. I have to figure out how to fix that. I haven't really figured that out yet.
Yeah, suspend is so broken that when it suspends,
Mm-hmm.
it turns it off. That's what it
Mm.
does. No, I'm saying for my
Oh yeah,
device
for
here.
yours. Yeah.
When it's on Linux, when it suspends, it turns it off.
No, it
It
didn't
doesn't
turn my.
actually suspend.
It never turned mine off. Funnily enough, man, it did. It never turned mine off. It just I had all the power lights on, everything working on. It was just like frozen, just frozen.
Right,
Which
I
often
get it.
required a reboot, which sometimes
Ugh.
wound up borking my kernel. So I just got rid of suspend. Turn that shit off. And what I would do to rescue myself on that one and just make it a black screen was X screensaver. X screensaver is fantastic for
Okay.
you.
I was before I switched over onto this.
Oh, Mislav, thanks for the
I
super
was.
chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. It really means more than you can know. But before I switched over to this, I was on Fedora, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was actually starting to play with Hyperland on Fedora. That is so much harder to configure than it is on Arch. I'm not gonna lie, but it's because some of the packages don't exist yet,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to manually compile them. But I was playing with
Good
it,
night,
and I was
Mislav.
trying to
Sleep
get the
well.
wallpaper switcher stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you have a good night, man. Let's see. Oh, Ben over here is admitting, and oh God, Alex, you have two people using Windows. It sounds like on your team. I'm sorry
Oh, what? Ben is
if
using
it's
Windows
happened.
too?
Ben says I still use Windows 11 as the games I use are just best on it.
Oh,
They don't run
that
properly on Linux.
for gaming. Look,
Still
man, for
X11.
gaming, I can't not knock anybody for that because the truth of the fact is um
They were made for Windows.
yeah, a lot of them were made for Windows. It just makes
yeah.
easy anti-cheat work, but when easy anti-cheat gets fixed, when developers actually start doing that, there's a different story there. There's going to be a different story there.
They've already fixed one type of easy anti-cheat. Now it's just about getting
Waffles
it
is switching to Windows 10 soon, and he's sad about it. It has to be for school, right, Waffles?
Is it for school? What is it for? Now I'm really wondering because this sounds so unlike you. I remember us specifically having a conversation about you wanting a laptop that was 100% ran by free software. This sounds like a really 180.
A lot of people do that, It's usually sometimes a lot of times it's out of a necessity of some sort. Which that's what my one video was that I talked about. In is Linux too hard for new to Linux users? Is just that. Is Windows too hard for some reason? Or is Linux too hard? And it's because a lot of it has to do with, and let's be honest, guys, the alternative applications just don't look or feel much like Windows ones. That's the funny part. I was talking to you about that the other day.
Yeah, we were.
That with Linux, to get to applications, you just click one place and right there in your applications, it's right there. You don't go through menu hell to get to certain things that you use in an application. Now, in Windows, they've literally got it the opposite, where you go through menu hell to find the application, and then when you open up an actual application, there is no menu hell. There. It's all right there for all the different tools that you need. The perfect case is different Photoshop. because they demand this to be made by the app designers or the application designers to be this way. And GIMP, when you compare those, what most people don't realize is GIMP is those little white corners in the tools menu. That's where you click on to find all your other drop down menus. So you're definitely in kind of a menu hell.
So here's
So
the
it's like
thing, right?
groups within it, and that could be that could be an issue.
I think there are definitely ways that we as a community could actually make it where it'd be easier to transition, right? If we had better, uh, more accessible
I hate
ways of teaching people how to use it, right? Because if we have just videos on the internet, right, a lot of the time people don't want to do that, or go read the documentation. You're very funny. You know how many people actually do that, anyways. And
Whoa,
then we are
whoa,
missing some of the.
whoa, 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 whoa. It's not like we're defending documentation, because I'm gonna tell you right now, documentation in Linux is shit-tastic at best sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's
mean,
what
it's
I'm
hit or
saying.
miss, man. It's one documentation, and I even mentioned that in this video that nobody really watched. It bombed bad. But I mentioned that in this video that sometimes the documentation is really good on some shit like the Arch Wiki. Holy shit! And then you go to NixOS documentation, and it's like all over the place.
Right,
You
absolutely.
know.
And but speaking of that, I think we might as well tag it in here a little bit. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if you, Tyler's already mentioned it briefly on his Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are working on some stuff with that, so you should go totally look
Oh,
at
check
that.
out Tyler's Wiki. Heck
Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. D-Dubs and him have been writing some awesome documentation on that. Yeah, they're solving that problem. But the point is that's just one person solving the problem for one thing. But this is fragmented throughout Linux, and
it
that's
is.
the problem.
Uh,
We
The
need
the
we need a little bit more uniformity across the board.
and that's where we're gonna start getting into the realm of talking about, do we have too many distributions, right? Because that's because by having so many separate things, it's hard to, like, so many separate distributions of different types. It's
Right?
hard to make that central type of
You kidding me?
documentation because it's
We can't
so.
even get together and decide on what the default fucking file manager is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly the point.
One of the
Yeah,
most
you were just
important
spelling this
parts,
out.
one of the most important parts of Linux, we can't define which one should be. Should it be BTRFS or should it be ext4? Granted, depending on what you're using it for, or XFS, depending on what you're using it for,
Mhm.
depicts on what it is, but nobody can define what should be the set standard for standard desktops, like if you're using for like a home environment, and this for standard that'll just never happen. That's a dream.
It is. It's yeah, it's just not gonna happen. But, what I see, I hope, well, I can hope, I guess, one day,
Yeah.
right, where we'll have some more streamlined, generally speaking, in most things, right? Because we already have Pipewire, which is taking over, like we talked about. I
Hmm.
think this morning we talked about how, uh, 'cause Pipewire was audio. What else was it? There's one other thing that was pretty important that we talked about.
Whoa.
Uh, I
Waffles
don't
came out with
remember.
some heavy hitters here. He says his top 5 distros for new users are Gentoo, Kubuntu, Artix, Void, and Gwix.
I
Now,
was gonna I was gonna say something about that, but go ahead, Alex.
uh,
Ooh.
for me, I don't disagree except for the Gentoo part. I don't ever think that a new user should get into Gentoo, not until they've had a few times down the road. And the only reason why is because the other ones have installers that are they're understandable. At least some of them, they're different than others, but they're understandable
Uh,
to do. Whereas with Gentoo, you have to follow their documentation. If you follow the documentation to the T, you're going to get screwed, because some things are still not completely well documented in there, and you have to know to go and reference back to this or whatever.
I'm actually gonna fight you on this one a little bit. I agree with Waffles here, and here's why. You're not. Have you? When was the last time you installed Gentoo? I'm just
About
curious.
3 years ago.
Yeah, I installed Gentoo not even 2 months ago. We talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
I It was very, very straightforward. The only
Well, okay.
the only thing is, if you're gonna install Gentoo, make sure you have somebody there who knows how to do it with you, because then you'll be successful. If you just try to figure it out on your own by yourself, you're gonna have a hard time. It's about, you have to have a
So
teacher.
So when I followed the documentation, I always had to refer back to different other parts of the manual. not just the step by step by step like people make. That's what I'm talking about. Users will, like for system D, if you want to put in system D versus OpenRC or S6 or SV in it or whatever. I'm saying you always have to refer to other parts. I'm not talking about just following step by where people make the mistake of following step by step. Another part that they get confused on is your DHCP versus your setting up your networking when you do it in the first place.
I could make these exact same claims on Arch then, if you want to say
Exactly. That's my point. Is if you do Arch the true non Arch install script way or Calamaris, you're absolutely right. Those are the same things, but the difference is those things actually exist now for those. You don't get that for Gen 2 unless you install Red Core Gen 2.
There's also something called Calculate
Or
Linux, if you know what that is.
What is the other? No, there's that one, and then there's also what was the other one? Sabian.
Sabian, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
Sabian.
there are some ways to get in the door, kind of like how Arch is these days.
Right.
So, and then they also have the binary repos, which makes things a little bit simple, to some extent.
Yeah, that's what they're doing to make it simpler. So in a way, you're gonna want. I hate to say it, and I've always said this. In fact, I think I said it the last pod. No, it was I think on the Linux Nuggies podcast that when me and Tyler and Matt got together and did that one. But the truth about Gentoo is right away as a new to Linux user, you don't want to do that yet because it can be confusing only for that reason. But I strongly suggest that even if you fail, you do the Gentoo Linux install because it's going to teach you so much about Linux and the way that it works that it's going to expand your knowledge like infinitely overnight. It's amazing. Yeah. It teaches you everything. And one that takes that even further and teaches you more about even the intricacies of everything is LFS. When you start following the chapters, you start doing that. It teaches you crap about shit you'll never fucking use. You know what I'm saying? Or never even do.
We really need those Chad memes right there whenever we have talking about LFS,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, really, that's Gentoo's great. But as far as that other list that Waffles put out there, I think he's absolutely right. Kubuntu is actually probably one of the ones that I think most people fall into more readily because of the Ubuntu nature and it's also very pretty to look at and gives the feel more so of like the Windows 10 versus like the Windows 8. Although there's one review coming out of a distribution I've never heard of that I just did. It's going to be coming out on Monday. I'm going to edit the video after the podcast. It's fantastic. It's Russian made Debian based distro that is pretty slim, lightweight, and something that I think new users can get into. It's got a different way of installing it. It's got a different installer. It's not using, I don't know. It's almost like a YAST installer, but not YAST, unless it's a very customized YAST.
You and I need to talk about this afterwards. Now I'm really interested.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get that one out there because I haven't done a distro review in a while, and I think that we're overdue for a good one on the channel, and it's a good one. It's different. I like finding the different ones that are actually somewhat user friendly.
Sometimes though I see all these reviews right on distributions, but then I also start thinking about how many distributions are out there, and I'm starting to turn into like that old grandpa type person that's getting almost to the point of like, we got too many guys, just like start working on the same projects. Like there's a few good examples of why this is such a great thing, right? Just transferring the topic over a little bit. I saw Brody's latest podcast with the CEO of System 76. Did you see that?
No.
Well, basically, he was talking about Cosmic in it, right? That's a massive project.
It's a massive rewrite, bro. They're rewriting the entire desktop.
And they were explaining, like, briefly why they switched away from standard Ubuntu to Pop OS, right? Taking their own direction. And I think the way that they're organizing things is how pretty much everybody should be organizing their stuff in the Linux space, right? Because under their leadership, they've managed to not only rewrite a bunch of toolkits, they've managed to write their own, and then they've also come together and used a framework that nobody's ever heard of before, and they're writing this amazing desktop that's going to be fresh and new, that's going to work with tiling by default, which is freaking amazing for a desktop environment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just I don't know of any of them that do that by default other than now KDE, but that was only recently added, I think, right? Unless you had like scripts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, and I'm just super excited about it. I know that whenever that comes out, I'm for sure gonna be giving it a show,
Oh
giving it
yeah,
a
I'm
go.
definitely doing a yeah.
Yeah.
I did recently an update on the Cosmic desktop itself. I've done I just did a recent review on it and stuff, on the updates of what's going on. So yeah, I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. I can't wait to see how I got a feeling it's going to be about as buttery as Hyperland is here on NixOS. Which, by the way, NixOS is the only true way to really run Hyperland to its best quality, because the developers of Hyperland actually develop it for Nix as well. That's another shameless plug. If you
You
really
know
want
what?
to experience Hyperland to the best.
If you're gonna shamelessly plug this, I think if we're gonna have the argument that things need to be easier, then there needs to be an easier way to install NixOS then too.
What are you talking about? It's easy. You download the ISO and you install it.
Right.
It's
I thought you
true.
had to do it by hand.
No, it's an
Okay.
installer, just like any. Just
Okay. I don't know what I was thinking then.
yeah,
I get I have yeah, okay.
yeah. You click on install.
Guys, that's too difficult. I can't use it.
So, but yeah,
All
but I
right.
mean, it anyhow. I mean, I cannot wait to see the Cosmic desktop. I'm very excited for it. I mean, it's going to be exciting to see. And like I said, it's very, how do I put it, man? I hope they haven't really shot any screenshots of it of fully completely running, just the different tools that they made for it. But um
Yeah, they have.
you well, no, I'm saying nothing super major. I mean, you don't get to see a full
Right.
video of it, you know what I'm saying, of it and actually
Right. I get
working.
what you're saying.
No development videos. But what I'm getting at is just from what it looks like, man, it looks like a standard desktop, but it's got a lot of tweaks and stuff under the hood. It's going to be pretty. You know what I'm saying?
The,
Donald says use GNOME, install ISO, then git pull Zany's repo. That's how fast you can install, because it comes with GNOME as a default,
okay.
and then you just git pull Zany's repo, make your changes in the flakes.nix package, which I explained in the video that I did, and then
Mhm.
do your flake rebuild, flake dash rebuild. Boom, you're good to go.
I think Alex,
Mm.
we may need to have a stream sometime where you take me through that process and I can do it in a VM. How's that sound?
It well, so sure, no problem. But I don't know that it works very well in a VM. I know that
Okay. I
there's
mean,
issues with it working in a VM. And
I
also
can do it
one
in
of the things.
hardware.
Oh, also another thing that just so people know out there is you have to switch to EUFI. It requires EUFI.
UEFI?
Yep. Yeah, UE, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
UEFI. Yes.
Okay.
And
I
I
mean
think
that
that maybe yep, Don just responded. I think that's why Ben's
yeah.
been having a problem with it.
Here
Because I
I
had the
think
same problem.
hey Ben, if you don't mind responding in the chat,
Oh, Don says it
do
works
you
great with Proxmox.
does it work with EFI though? Because right, that's your transition between legacy and UEFI. I was wondering if it does.
I don't know. I went into my BIOS and just enabled EUFI.
Okay.
And then I
I'm just
rebooted and it
asking
worked.
because some hardware supports EFI instead of UEFI
I
because there is
both.
that transition period.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And I know that in Vert Manager you could set it when you do towards the very last screen a custom boot installation. You click on there at the very bottom, and then you could select the EUFI version, the Tyano core, and then it should work in there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's I mean that so when it comes to the Linux distros and stuff like that, I think that is really those distros were okay, but just for new to Linux users, I wouldn't suggest Gen 2. You know what I'm saying? But either way, that's the case. So let's move on to the second topic. We're gonna
Okay.
go over
Okay.
just a little bit, but that's okay.
That's
I
fine.
don't think people have a problem with that. The
Nope.
next topic that we're going to go over is a new tool that I found called Easy Effects. Easy
Oh
Effects
yeah,
was known as Pulse Audio Effects for the Pulse days
it
and
was.
Pulse Audio server, where you could overlay different filters from different things onto Pulse Audio. And so, um, if
I mean, I really like Easy Effects. I'll tell you that much. 'Cause I've been using it for a while. If you need to do, you can actually go online and they have presets in their
mhm.
GitHub,
Yeah,
and you can pull those. I like because this laptop that we're talking on right now actually
mhm.
supports Dolby Atmos. If you grab the if you grab their preset from that, it actually enables Dolby Atmos and everything else and tuning and
Right.
whatnot, and it makes it work. And it sounds like great, like it's wonderful.
Absolutely. The EQ, I was stunned. Yet, so like I'm showing a graphic of what it looks like right now. And I'm scrolling down the list. These are all the different effects that you could apply over your system globally in output, which is stunningly amazing. The EQ effects are fantastic. It's a 32 band equalizer, not your standard crappy 3 band. No, it's 32.
Right.
It's literally a DAW, digital audio workstation, that you can apply globally to your entire things, and it's on a Pipewire. It was rewritten for Pipewire, so it works
Yeah.
flawlessly with Pipewire. It works great on input, and you could add effects to your output as well. It's easy to install. It's in most repo packages. It's in the AUR, I believe.
It's also a flat pack.
It's also a flat pack as well. So, and at the bottom, you could even see where they say right here, Flat Hub. You can get it on Flat Hub. So it works. It works well with a lot of different things, a lot of different operating systems out there. And if it's not in the repos, certainly use the flat pack.
I will note something. Yeah, there is an unofficial Snap package. Don't use that. It doesn't work most of the time. I
Oh,
learned
on the
that the hard
Snap
way.
package, on the
Yeah,
Snap package.
yeah.
Okay, that's a good
It
warning.
doesn't work most of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just
I
wanted to let
just
you know that now.
like I said, I found out about it yesterday. I knew about Pulse Audio Effects, but I didn't know that they had written this for a while. Apparently, they did this like 5 years ago. If you look at the Git, it's been around for like 5 years. But I found out about it the other day, and I actually wanted to play with it. And I think I called you after I'd been playing on it for like 3 hours.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
and
Because I remember. Sorry, go ahead. I'll be
yeah,
quiet
and
now.
I made this stupid mistake. I was like, I can't figure out why I can't get this to lay over onto my, like, import the audio into OBS for it, and or like Discord or something else. And it was because I wasn't applying the filters to the inputs. But when I still did it,
Yep.
I still couldn't quite get it to work, and I don't know why. I couldn't
I
import the audio into OBS, or even though I had it as a source, easy effects source. I don't know why
I
it wouldn't do that.
I don't know the answer to that yet, but once we figure it out, I really want to either write up a GitLab page or something on it so we can have it as like a resource for people in the future.
Hmm.
Um, and just tagging this real quick, Josh mentioned in that last stream that we should start trying to have typed up stuff for some of these podcasts. If anybody knows of any good, easy to generate page type things kind of like Hugo type things, let me know and hit me up because I want to try to start doing that. I can type them up after the fact. Just tagging that real quick.
Oh, cool. And you mean like doing like chapters? Is that what you're talking about, or just
Yeah,
a
because
transcript for
like
the whole show?
it'll be more of like the major topics in the show, and then like different resources within it, and then talking
Oh, got
like
you.
this, for instance, right? What we're talking right now. If we figure out how to make
Yeah,
this work, right, we can go in and have that
I
written
know that.
down after the
So,
fact for people
and that's
if
the
they
other
want it.
thing too. Josh wants to host our webpage, which is no problem. But I don't know how to build web pages. I need to find somebody to build a web page or something like that. So in the chat, if
Right.
somebody knows how to build, do a me. So if somebody out there knows how to build web pages or knows of somebody, please let me know. I could use some
I'm
help.
asking what I was actually asking something along those lines, Alex. I'm asking for like static page generators because what
Oh,
those can do is right. They just we don't need anything dynamic for this. It's just more there just for a resource, right? So if we just
mhm.
have it quick and easy, then we can just edit it whenever. And I'm just wanting one that has an easy to use interface because Hugo, you have to redo every single time, from what I understand, and that can get kind of irritating.
So I come from old web page building days, known as Dreamweaver back in the day. You know, I mean,
Right.
seriously, that was old school. That's about as far as my knowledge went. Feel like
I
everybody
no, I
else
am
used
not using
WordPress.
WordPress. No,
What's up,
that
Hip
is
Dad?
a no. That's a security nightmare.
I have no idea about WordPress. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think somebody built a WordPress for the Linux too, but I don't think I've ever used it. I don't
I
know.
back in high school, I actually learned how to make basic HTML sites. Right, I
Hmm.
do HTML and do some CS. I am sorry about that. That was an alarm.
That's okay.
But I would make basic HTML and CSS websites just for
Hmm.
my class, and yeah, that's not too difficult to do. But I really want something that's more than that.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, I mean, and it was convoluted where I had to tell how many pages I wanted. Then I had to do the banners and all this stuff and put the text bodies and all that everywhere and place it everywhere. So I know it's one of those things where I'm not really used to. And so, oh, Donald Williams says WordPress has gotten better.
if you don't mind, if we could talk about this a little bit later, Donald, it'd be great because I want to see personally like what they've done better before we even consider that. There's just been some issues with WordPress in the past, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah. So and also, Rue asked, can you use that to easily split audio in Discord? Talking about easy effects.
I
I do
don't
not know. I
see why
haven't
you
I
couldn't.
haven't played with it long enough. But what did you say, Jonathan?
I don't see why you couldn't.
Well, there you go. He said, "What's not Don? What's not great?" And he says he does. So I guess are you talking about easy effects that you do? That you split audio in Discord with?
Uh, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Don, I'm reading the chat right now.
Oh, okay.
He said not great. I don't know, or he's saying not great with that, with the easy effects, and then but he still does. I don't know. A while ago, he deployed one via a container. He's talking about a WordPress. I don't understand what he's talking about. And Rue says thank you. As long as you keep WordPress updated and pay attention to your extensions, it's not an issue. Oh, well, Donald is saying WordPress is better, not great. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Ah,
I mean, if we can definitely talk about it, Alex. I think it's definitely something to discuss because we've talked about before. We do need a
we do need to.
website.
Yeah, I've been
We
asked
need a
several
website for
times.
multiple things. So
Yeah, especially for where we're
yeah,
going with the channel and stuff like that. We do.
exactly. Um, so if I would, in one of these days, I think it'd be cool to have people just in the group call in the Linux tube
Hmm.
Discord and just talk about what we think should go going forward, right? Because we do care about our community and they have a lot of impact on what we do here. So
Hmm. They do. They have
it'd
a lot
be
of
it,
impact. If they have any show suggestions
mhm.
for the podcast that they want us to talk about or anything like that, certainly feel free to hit us up in Discord, post it in Discord, or here or wherever. Let us know some topic that you guys would like us to discuss. Also, if you guys, most of you guys are members or in either Discord here that are in the chat. If you're not, for some reason you're rewatching this and you're not a member in Discord, please, the link is in the description down below. Also, Stream Elements has put it in the chat. Click on that link, join the Discord, be part of a very vibrant, active community. My Discord is awesome. I love it. It's not
Just
super chill, but it's not super dramatic, if that's a word to put in there, or so it's a nice environment. Also, consider joining the channel, becoming a member here either on Google or maybe through one of our outlets of Buy Me a Coffee or our Patreon. Either way, The show's come to an end. We've been we're over by like, you know, five minutes. So show's come to
Okay.
an end. It's been a great show. Y'all keep doing what you do. Keep on Linux and stay blessed, stay happy, and y'all, we'll see you in the very next one next week. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.